we've had some pretty exciting developments in terms of the way we deliver education, which you touched to a little bit, talking about Northeast Maritime Online, NEMO. And perhaps you could touch upon how it impacts the life of a mariner, discuss your experiences at sea and how this really changes it for people, being able to get maritime education anytime, anywhere.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to start by saying I was very much against online education and training. I'm embarrassed to say I'm an older guy right now. I didn't see that coming, but the reality is I dragged my feet a little bit on this. And then I started to realize that people were coming to the school for continuing education for 2 and 3 classes a year, really losing important time at home with their families. And they were spending a lot of money on airline tickets and hotels and having to pay for meals out at restaurants, which is all great, but it's not great if you have a family to raise. And so after a few years of watching this heavy burden on my students, I realized, hey, we need to make a change. We have to make a shift. And it was through a discussion with Ashok Mahapatra, who is the former chairman of the Maritime Safety Committee, actually the director of the Maritime Safety Committee, or Maritime Safety at the International Maritime Organization. He used to be head of STCW and the human element at IMO. And he begged me to develop online course. And I said, you just don't get the same feel as you do in a classroom. Your students actually become teachers as well in the dialogue. And he said, bullcrap. People are actually suffering from having to go to school and being away from their families. And when you look at the international mariner, these are non-U.S. mariners, they don't get as much vacation time as our folks. So when you think they have to go to school when they're on vacation, they're on the vessel 9 months, sometimes a year, and then they only have 2 or 3 months off. They should be with their families, right? So at the end of the day, it became a humanitarian initiative. And, not only is it going to be cost savings, it's going to save families and really enable people to connect. And I always tell the story about when I was a little boy, my dad used to have to go to sea for 6 and 9 months at a time. And I would sit at the door. I knew his bag was packed and the taxi cab was coming to take him to the airport. And I'd be kind of waiting at the door and talking myself through it and say, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. And my dad would leave and I would just bawl. I would be heartbroken. And so as an adult, I was telling this story, and my father looked at me and he said, how do you think I felt? And boy, did that really impact me. And this whole idea of honoring the mariner comes from me honoring my father and honoring my grandfather and what they had to experience when they left their families. And all of the, almost 70,000 mariners that we've trained here at Northeast Maritime Institute, all of these folks have touched my life in one way, shape, or form. And it's absolutely imperative that not only do we honor them in their time and their families, but we have to honor them in a way that delivers the best maritime education and training that they can receive.